Well, hello, this is Lauren Holly Allen, Emergency Management Made Easy with Lauren. I'm back, and I'm happy that you're back for class number 7 in the series. I decided to step away from risk assessment, team building, and planning to give you an opportunity to work on your notes. And for those who have begun to consider writing your emergency plan, I just decided to give you a break and time to do it, to work on it. And as promised in class number 5, there is certain information I need to impart for your education that every beginning emergency and safety person should know in the scheme of Emergency Management 101. Our title today is Mr. Rogers' Advice. Always look for the helpers. I have a quick quiz question. ICS, Incident Command System. What is it? Do you know what it is? Have you ever heard it? No problem. I hope you have your pencil and paper because I'm going to give you the answer. ICS means Incident Command System. What is that system and what is it for? ICS consists of FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management System, inspired by standard management hierarchy and procedures. It's designed for managing temporary emergency incidents of any size. The directive was signed into law by the President in March of 2011 and describes the nation's approach, the United States approach to preparedness, what we do. This was based on the lessons learned from criminal activities, hurricanes, house of worship incidents, and experiences. This system was refined or changed after September 11, 2001 bombing. It provides a common language for all emergency responders. It also provides for growth and organizational structure that can grow and meld rapidly in response to the requirements of any emergency. Assign employees with reasonable expertise and training, all speaking to critical functions without loss of precious time. We're all speaking the same language. Let me give you an example. Especially in the use of communications equipment, i.e., all equipment in vehicles, at emergency precincts, and agencies throughout the United States. This includes the FBI, which is the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the local police, federal and statewide agencies. During an emergency, let's communicate. Let's speak the same language so that we do not lose time, so we can get things done. During any emergency, how do we communicate effectively with one another? It's a good question. There are 5 mission areas that I want you to write down and consider. 1 is preparedness. Exercising drills, which you've heard about from me. Evaluating and taking corrective actions are the primary components of being and becoming better prepared to respond to all hazards and emergency incidents. 2. Prevention focuses on preventing human hazards, primarily from natural disasters, terrorist attacks, fires, or physical and biological attacks. Preventive measures are designed to provide more permanent protection from disasters. The emphasis is to reduce the likelihood of the situation occurring, or at least minimizing the impact if or when an emergency occurs. We want to minimize its impact. We want to prevent as much as we can. Intervention. How do we intervene? Emphasizes response capability, including the coordination of the management of resources, personnel, equipment, and supplies. This provides adequate response during the emergency to contain the situation. The goal is to provide support and safety to the congregants, your business, schools, and all who are involved. Recovery. But before we do recovery, let me give you an example of all three: preparedness, prevention, and intervention. A massive fire occurred in a 67-story skyscraper in Dubai on June 14th, 2025. In my time today, last night. Thousands of residents were forced to flee during the night. Emergency management crews from Dubai Civil Defense battled the fire 6 hours before bringing it under control. Miraculously, all 3,820 residents from the building, a 764 apartments, were safely evacuated without injuries. They were safely evacuated without injuries. That's phenomenal work, and Dubai did it. I don't know what their building codes are like in Dubai. I have some ideas, but whatever they are, that emergency crew, that civil defense crew battled, beat back that fire, and not one person died. That's impressive. That's preparedness, that's prevention, and that's intervention. Next, 4, recovery. The recovery phase begins immediately after the threat to human life has subsided. Stabilization efforts or counseling or any assistance offered in an attempt to return to normalcy, normal operations and activities. Now we're recovering. The incident occurred. The bombing occurred. The emergency is over. So now we move to recovery phase. You get my drift? You following me? You understand it? This is what you need to know before we move on. I would be remiss if I did not teach this to you in the scheme of emergency management. I'm sure some of my professional colleagues are checking in on me to make sure. Mitigation. Mitigate. What does that mean? Mitigation is your effort to reduce loss of life and property by lessening the impact of disasters and emergencies. This addresses structural and non-structural measures taken to limit the impact of disasters and emergencies. And I'm sure that's what Dubai is doing right now. And I must mention Israel, Tehran, and Ukraine. So aside from war, we're talking emergencies that occur in our cities, towns, and countries. So structural actions, we're mitigating. We're still in mitigation. Structural or actions taken to change the characteristics of buildings or the environment. For instance, raise building elevations, elevating houses in low-lying areas on beachfront property, removing buildings in flood zone areas and in replacing them with parks. That's structural action. So if you have a house in Jamaica or wherever or Florida where you have beach, California, and you're on a beach and a strong storm arises and there's severe flooding, you might consider raising the building, having that done to keep your house, to stay on your property. I don't know whether that person may have flood insurance or not. However, but that is mitigating. That is making sure if a flood comes again, we're mitigating it. That will minimize the damage. You understand? In some instances, low-lying areas are converted to parks. No new buildings are rebuilt on that property for safety concerns. It's too low. And what comes to mind is New Orleans and how certain areas sit real low, which was discussed during their flooding problem. It was discussed when the levees broke. So some areas, the choice may not be to put new houses on. They may simply make it a park. That's mitigating. Because if it happens again, we know that the houses are going to flood out again. So why build houses on that property? Find other resources or things that can be done, like parks, on that property. So today, I'm going to stopping a little early today, because I have additional information in Series 9 that you are going to find to be very, very interesting. You know, if you have questions, all you need to do is send me an email. If there's something that I discussed with you today that you don't understand, just email me at preparebeforeithappens@outlook.com, and I will get back to you. You know how to buy the book by now on Amazon. You can write a step-by-step house of worship emergency safety and security plan if you choose to, or you can continue with your pencil, pens, and notebook and keep good notes. Thank you for coming. We will get together again next week, and I guarantee you're going to enjoy it. You want me to give you a clue as to what we're going to discuss next week? We'll continue in this vein, but I have a true story to impart that will help you to understand the different aspects of who's helping, how they help, and the intellectual and didactic aspects of the helpers. A true story, just like we talked about Dubai today. Thank you for coming, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.